Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Thursday, July 20th. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3, roll call. Please check yourself in on your device. Crystal, might want to help him out. Need to check in, Commissioner. There you go. Great. Item number 4 is invocation. Today's invocation is by Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you. Please bow our heads. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business on behalf of the residents of Macomb County. Guide our hearts, our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Give us the intestinal fortitude to make the right decisions for the residents of Macomb County. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach successful conclusions. Thank you for being our source of guidance today and every day. In your name, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item number 5, we need a motion to adopt the agenda dated July 20th, 2017, made by Commissioner Sauger, supported by Commissioner Duge. Please vote. Item number 6, the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve June 22nd, 2017 minutes. Motion by Leonetti, support by Commissioner Romano. Please vote. Thank you. Item number 7 is public participation. Anyone from member of the public wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes. First public participation is related to items on the agenda only. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak? Please come up, give us your name and address, sir. Thank you.
It's right this time. There we go. My name is Gerald Witt. I reside at 14755 Mystic Court in Shelby Township, Michigan. I've been a resident of Macomb County since I was born 67 years ago. I work at Chrysler's for 49 years, about to go on my 50th, spent 4 years in the Marines, a year in Vietnam. I just want to say a few things today, because I don't want to bend your ear like I've done sometimes when I've been up here. But somebody, somewhere, has got to do something. There needs to be action taken. Just because this hasn't been in the papers lately, what's going on with Clerk Spranger, it hasn't changed. There's still fear among the employees for being intimidating, the hostile work environment, especially at the Talmer building, the misdirection of the workforce by Ms. Spranger because she really doesn't know how to lead. In my 49 years as a leader in Chrysler's, and many of those, about 25, 30 of them as a leader, I've never seen such poor leadership just demonstrated in my whole life. And the thing that I mainly want to leave you with is that you got the lawsuits against the executive officer, against the Board of Commissioners, against the Ethics Board, and they want to kick us out. They want to kick the union people out and get rid of all the union employees, which, as you stated a while back, Mr. Smith, had won numerous awards for their jobs. And the thing I want to leave with you, like I did last time, is January 2nd, she took office. Today's July 20th. She has not sat down, Ms. Spranger has not sat down one time with her management team. Not one time. I don't know, how do you make an operation or an office more efficient without sitting down with your management team that's been here, 15, 20 years and got all kinds of experience and won all awards? I don't know how a leader does that and then turn around and say she knows what she's doing, that she knows how to lead. How do you lead when you don't sit down with your own management team? I don't understand that. And I think that's what everybody's got to look at. Like, it ain't no better. I've taken some of the girls out to lunch, not only from my local, but from ASME, and I'm talking about women that get out lunch and they're in tears because they can't take it no more. They just can't, and this just happened recently. It needs to stop. Somebody needs to take some action. I've done all I can as a local union leader, and I don't know what else to do except keep holding demonstrations on the street, which really don't prove nothing except shows that we're still gonna stand up and fight. And really, I really don't want to deal that way. I came in and Karen Batanti and Eric both knew I came in. We want to work together, mutual respect, working with a mutual interest on getting things done and making more things effective, not adversarial. And we're being forced into being adversarial, and I don't like that position. I did my fighting before, but if I have to fight, I will. And I think that the Board of Commissioners or whoever the executive need to take a close look at this and get something done, because it's just getting worse. It ain't getting better. Like I said, just because it's not in the paper doesn't mean it's gotten better, because it hasn't. It's gotten worse. And something needs to be done, because e-filings are going behind. Employees are being misdirected into different directions. They don't know what their jobs are or responsibilities are from day to day. And it's costing this county and this taxpayer and every taxpayer up here and all the ones that we represent a lot of money, foolishly. So that's all I got to say. I'll just leave you with this one thing. Remember, January 2nd, July 20th, not one time has she sat down with her management team that most of you individuals have a lot of respect for.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wishing to speak? Please come up and tell us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. Hello.
Donna Conjemi, 11235 Hemlock Drive in Sterling Heights, Michigan. I'm president of AFSCME. I represent the majority of members in the clerk's and the registered deeds office. Most of you know me. I've been the president of AFSCME for 18 years. I concur with everything that Jerry said and more. Every day when I come to work, from the time I get there at 8:30 till 5 o'clock, myself and my vice president, Denise Menser, phone calls, going over to the office. And I'm going to tell you what, I haven't been sleeping at night because I'm so upset for my members. It's terrible. I got a member that isn't working right now because it was so upsetting for her to be in that office. She stays in that office, you know what's going to happen to her? Either she's going to be fired or she's going to have a breakdown. I got about 4 or 5 of them over there that are like that. That's how horrible it is. Half of them are for her and half of them are against her because that's designed that way. It's hostile. It's a horrible environment over there. You walk in there and you can feel it. I walk in there, I can feel it. You sit there with them. I've had meetings with them. Jackie Ryan goes crazy. She screams, she hollers, and then she tries to discipline my employees for it. I've never seen anything like it. It's horrible. I mean, I've worked with all the departments in the county. I have members in every department in this county. I've seen bad supervisors. I've seen bad department heads. I've been able to work with all of them. I've never seen this. I can't talk to them. They won't meet with us. Here's a pile of grievances. They're scheduled to be seen on the 25th. I will bet you money nobody from that department's going to show up. They haven't yet. Everything that we've filed, nobody's showed up. Bet you any money it's going to be the same story. How can you resolve anything? 2 of those are hostile work environments. That'll be the 3rd one. I don't know. We're getting nothing accomplished. I sit at the table with everybody. I'm willing to work with anybody, but they don't want to work with us. I don't know. We've had demonstrations. We've talked to the media. We file grievances. There's unfair labor practices. You know, this is ridiculous. What, HR doesn't represent the employees in that department? They can't negotiate? They can't hire people? I don't know where to go with this. I don't know. We need help. That's what we're asking for. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We don't know what else to do. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. You know, I am here to represent these members that are. They're in a work environment that is just, nobody should have to put up with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, please give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, Macomb County Board of Commissioners. My name is Joseph Hunt, 8306 Stanley, homeowner and taxpayer from the city of Warren, Michigan. And I'm here to talk about, I believe, item 14 J outside counsel for the 16th Judicial Circuit Court case, which is basically the lawsuit that Mr. Witt had spoken about, where there's a difference of opinion between the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Ethics, and the county executive regarding the management and control of the clerk's office. I've listened to Mr. Witt and Ms. Kangemi. Mrs. Kangemi explained that something needs to be done by this Board of Commissioners to all of a sudden alleviate, I guess, what's considered to be by some harassment in the work environment. As you know, I am a friend of Karen Spranger's, and I, of course, last year helped her on her campaign while I was running for Public Works Commissioner. And I'd like to actually point out that specifically the Board of Commissioners is the fiduciary of the taxpayers, the keeper of the funds, and this is what Kathy Toko, who is absent, mentioned several months ago, so I keep repeating that. One of the things that Karen has brought up to me is that there's a state complaint filed by several of the people in the new Register of Deeds / Vital Records office, where their chairs are much higher than the floor. So during the course of the day, they have to climb upon the chairs and their legs dangle. And that is a complaint, obviously, that might be part of the grievance procedure. And I guess the real question here is that when we went back to May and there was that issue about the lawsuit, about the move, is that this was years and years in the making. But the issue does come down to is that there's an outstanding issue, a MIOSHA complaint, where maybe the Board of Commissioners can intervene with Delden, who is in charge of the move, and maybe get some good chairs in order for the people to not have to go home and have leg problems. Now, a lot of the issues that I hear the UAW and the ASME present are a lot of issues associated with the union employees living in fear of losing their job. If people were going to be losing their job, they would have lost their job by now. All I can say is that the court case, I've read the 94 pages, and I feel that some of the items could be resolved and mediated outside of the scope of a declaratory judgment or an injunction. However, the idea behind that is that, you know, when Karen came into office, she specifically wanted to hire several people in order to get her management team in order, and I feel that Human Resources has failed in that regard. I'm totally against your appointment of the acting potential human resource person based upon her treatment of me over the last 7 months. But I'll basically get into a conclusion here, is that if everybody wants to sit down and iron these out, don't play it through the media. Just all of a sudden talk to each other and find common ground, because it doesn't really help the taxpayers in any way, shape, or form. But Board of Commissioners, go over to the Register of Deeds office, look at the chairs, ask Delden to go to the capital improvement funds and change those chairs around, because I wouldn't be able to tolerate sitting on a high chair all day with my legs dangling. That is a serious issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Here you are. Hello there.
Why, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Brewer. I live at 39444 Prentice in Harrison Township. I am the clerical supervisor over at the clerk's office, and I'm here also to speak about the outside counsel and what is currently happening. I'm an actual employee, and I'm also our UAW steward for our supervisors. Let me just say that it is not just about the fear of being fired. It is the fact that we are constantly yelled at. We are constantly reprimanded and called insubordinate in emails where she won't even meet with us or give us any policies. It's the fact that she does not allow us to make any sort of decisions in our office. She is making these decisions with her Deputy Register of Deeds that is not allowed to make decisions over the court area, yet she seems to constantly be in our face accusing us and yelling at us in front of staff members. It's not just that we're afraid to lose our job. It is the fact that we've worked here for many, many years and pour our heart and soul into this place, and she comes in and treats us like we're absolute garbage. The fact that they had to bring therapists in for employees because she's made the atmosphere so bad, there has to be something that you guys can do to help us. You know, our judges are no longer, as of Monday, because of decisions that Karen has made, not going to get their circuit court files that are located over at Central Receiving, and that is because of Karen Springer. So not only is the public affected, but so are our judges, so are the people who come in to file, the people who come in and have a legitimate request to view those files. The people who need to get their marriage licenses are not going to be able to get them. People who need access to the courts are not getting it timely. We are 3 weeks behind in e-filing. We have 5 open positions that she still will not hire for the court section alone. She will not hire them. She keeps trying to interview them over and over again and tells them that there's a problem with the process in an interview. She doesn't allow us supervisors to be in that interview. She completely does not speak to us unless it is in a derogatory tone or when she is giving us a direct order that violates what's going on in this county. I am here to say on behalf of our supervisors and most importantly the staff who reports to us that you guys hopefully can find a way to help us. We're doing everything possible. I have 7 grievances on behalf of myself for the last week of work. So we're doing what we need to do on our end. We just need some help. Please, we really, really hope that you can find a way to help us out of this situation. It has not gotten better. It is certainly getting worse day by day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? I do have to say that I've been allowing a little leeway on this. I mean, the items that we're supposed to be discussing are supposed to be agenda items, and it's kind of a stretch to take a lawsuit that's coming against the county and turn it into internal strife necessarily in the clerk's office. The second public participation is more for these non-agenda items, so I'll let you speak, but if we're just going to, I don't want to keep going on the same path during this public participation because we're kind of stretching that about the agenda items issue, if you don't mind. So please give us your name and address.
Andrew Toth, 52463 Cleveland Street, New Baltimore, Michigan. I'm the second vice president for Local 412. I represent the supervisors. As an official of Local 412, I have 10 other units that I reside over. I spend 95% of my time here in Macomb County. It has been going downhill. It hasn't gotten any better from day one. If anything, it's gotten worse. As Jenna mentioned, you know, they're living in fear every day. Every day they come in, they get harassed, they get poked at, they get prodded. I mean, this is not how people are supposed to come to work. These are professionals that have been doing this job for 20 plus years. They have accommodations on the website stating how well the clerk's office has done. It's ridiculous that we have to keep coming back time and time again for one person. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Brian Burdak. My address is 51696 Promenade Lane, and that's in New Baltimore, 48047. As a taxpayer of Macomb County and an agenda this evening placed before the board, which affects myself as a taxpayer, my union members, I'm the chair of Unit 75 UAW 412, who are taxpayers, and you are voting on agenda items that involve tax money. I would like to let you know that Karen Springer is a huge liability to this county. So far, taxpayers are shelling out $300,000 that you have all approved in legal fees to defend multiple lawsuits. Taxpayers have paid for the county car that she's wrecked. Those same taxpayers are waiting over an hour for service in my department because she won't properly staff the department with budgeted positions that you all have approved in the budget, and I, as a supervisor, have to deal with. She's had her secretary placed on administrative leave, and now she's attempting to process payroll herself. Payroll that is the job and function of an AFSCME employee, not an elected county official. Human Resources has even had to send in a grief counselor to the clerk's office, to be on hand and available to talk to employees who've had emotional breakdowns, 2 of them in my department. Ms. Spranger's been in office for 6 months. It's obvious she's not going to change. She has no desire to change. The Board of Commissioners must do something to protect the county from her further liability to the taxpayers. The board must do something to protect the workers in the county who work in the clerk's office, who live in this county, and who also pay taxes themselves.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Third and final time. Seeing none, we're going to close the first round of public participation. Ladies and gentlemen, item number 8 is a proclamation for United Way. However, we do have a presentation from Dr. Herman Gray, who's a president and CEO of United Way. I'd like to, without objection, let him give his presentation first, and then we would do the proclamation right after that. Fine, thank you. Dr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. It's great to see you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly with you this afternoon. Driving out here remind me of an experience I had in my previous life as President and CEO of the Children's Hospital of Michigan, and the first outpatient facility that Children's Hospital built in its history sits on 19 Mile Road in Garfield, and is one of the most successful sites that the hospital has ever had, and we're grateful for the support of the Macomb County community. I recently moved to United Way for Southeastern Michigan about a year and a half ago, and I will not entertain the question of, so how did a nice pediatrician like you end up at the United Way? But suffice it to say that I believe it's a great organization that does tremendous good in our community. This particular United Way serves Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, roughly 4 million people. And United Ways across the country, and ours included, certainly tackle some of the most challenging and vexing social problems that our communities face. And I'm really proud to be part of that effort. Last year alone, the United Way for Southeastern Michigan invested $46 million roughly in Southeast Michigan. Money that largely was donated by average Joes and Janes working on the line, working in factories, working in businesses, the kindness of strangers, as it were. Here in Macomb County, United Way has made specific investments in Centerline, Clinton Township, Warren, Macomb, Romeo, Shelby, Charter Township, Fraser, Utica, Sterling Heights, Richmond, East Point, Roseville, and Mount Clemens. We directly support some 20 partner agencies or so within the county, which provide a variety of direct services to Macomb County residents. Some of these agencies include Care of Southeast Michigan and Fraser, Leaps and Bounds, Macomb County Dispute Resolution Center, Macomb Family Services, Macomb Homeless Coalition, and the ARC Michigan Regional Alliance. So just very briefly, the United Way supports basically 3 pillars of work: health and basic needs, education, and economic prosperity. In the health and basic needs area, we served some 190,000 meals last year to children in need at 63 United Way supported Meet Up and Eat Up sites in Macomb County. As you know, many children get free breakfast and lunch programs when they're in school, and during the summers, many of those children do not get served any meals, and we try to address that need. You probably have heard of our 211 call service, which provides referrals to programs in 6 counties. We actually go beyond our borders for our 211 service, where people can access us via phone, chat, email, and online database. And they are able to access some 30,000 different statewide programs and services that they may avail themselves of when they have a social crisis. And this service is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In 2016, there were nearly 18,000 calls from Macomb County residents. In our second pillar of education, We have work in both high schools and in early childhood education. As you may know, roughly 50% of all children in Southeast Michigan go to kindergarten unprepared for kindergarten. Either they don't have the social discipline to sit still or to pay attention or to interact with other children, or they don't know their numbers or their letters or their colors, but they're just unprepared for kindergarten. And that is a good indicator that they will be unprepared for school the rest of their primary education. And so our work is to make sure that kids get the right start in life by supporting their first teachers, who of course are parents and their caregivers. So we work with those partners hand in hand to provide trainings, peer networks, learning materials, child safety items, and lots of other things to over 8,000 parents and caregivers in Macomb County. In the high school area, we have a program called College and Career Readiness in East Detroit High School and East Point. We raised the graduation rates over a 5-year period of time from the 60% range to 85% with the generous grant of General Motors. 6 years ago, General Motors gave the largest grant in their history to United Way for Southeastern Michigan, $27 million, $2 million for early childhood work, and $25 million for high school work. And that was included in Macomb County. We provided support at the East Point High School. We provided supports in the areas of academic partners, behavior management support, student services that resulted in higher test scores, improving classroom learning experiences, improving average attendance rates, and reducing chronic absenteeism. And lastly, our third pillar of financial stability and economic prosperity. We have been dedicated for most of our existence to helping families and the hardworking folks of Southeast Michigan to become more financially independent and educated. We have a Center for Working Families in Sterling Heights, where we provide comprehensive services to help families learn how to save, to build their assets, and to eventually move from debt to positive net worth and financial independence. We literally teach financial literacy. Carrying out these missions and our really important mission wouldn't be possible without the financial contributions, as I mentioned earlier, of many generous donors and workers within the county, particularly the hardworking UAW folks at Fiat Chrysler, GM, and Ford plants, and corporations like General Dynamics, DTE, UPS, and CMS Energy. The caring generosity of people in those places and others in this region and in Macomb County specifically are essential to our success, and we are grateful for it. So while the United Way has evolved over the 100 years that we've been in existence and are celebrating this year, United Way is as focused as ever on ensuring a high quality of life for all people across our community. This Centennial celebration is truly in recognition of all of our donors, volunteers, corporate and community partners, and those who have joined us on this journey for the past 100 years. We're grateful for the opportunity to continue serving the Southeastern Michigan community we all call home. And so again, thanks for the privilege of spending time with the Commission today, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, and grateful indeed, of course, for the proclamation that I am assuming, without controversy, will be passed shortly.
Great, thank you, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Gray. Any questions for? Oh, there we go. Excuse me, Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And
Thank
for
you.
the presentation. A couple of real quick questions for you. Number one, the services that you provide here in the county, do you coordinate those with any other groups of the needs and where you could best help and supplement where the government is lacking in some of these programs?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I can't speak real specifically to the Macomb County programs just because I'm a little bit too far removed from them specifically, but I can say that that was one of the things that was most attractive to me about coming to work with the United Way, because the opportunity to get nonprofits, governmental entities and agencies, and other organizations, public entities such as this one, city governments, to work together on these vexing problems is really critical in that I believe that there's sometimes duplication of services, there's redundancy, there's not good coordination. One organization's mission be going in this direction and another may be going in that direction. It's my belief that In Detroit, as an example, for the Detroit Public Schools, some work that we're starting to do there now, our job is to support the strategic vision of the superintendent, not to try to define what that vision is ourselves. We are a support service. We provide wraparound services. If a mother calls at 2 o'clock in the morning to that 211 line and doesn't have any place to live and she's been beat up by her significant other, our job is to help her find that. And so coordination and collaboration with others is sort of part of our DNA. What I've discovered, of course, like most other things in life, is easier said than done, but that is a big part of how we view our work as partners and enablers, and convening those who are like-minded and interested in working on a problem, convening them to come together to work with, for a common cause.
Great, thank you. The last question is, and you probably won't have the information with you, but if somebody, I don't know, Crystal, if we can work together with his office and try to get the information. I'd like to know the meals you provide here to Macomb County residents.
Yes.
I'd like to know if you guys are doing those meals yourself. I'd like to know if you have a vendor that does that for you. And if that information could be shared here with the board, I think it'd be beneficial with one of the projects that we're kind of looking into.
And we'd be happy to provide you with the specifics. I can say that for the 1.5 million meals that we served last year in Southeast Michigan, all of those were delivered by small business people. We don't do any of the direct work ourselves in United Way. We believe that we can leverage a program like Meet Up and Eat Up so that not only are you feeding hungry children, and of course if their families come with them, we feed the family as well, but that you can also use that as a business lever to support small businesses. And so most of the dollars that support the Meet Up and Eat Up program don't actually come from United Way. They actually come from Department of Agriculture, TANF, and food stamp type dollars. We were able to figure out, as a United Way, and it's a relatively unique program, we were able to figure out how to access those federal dollars and get more bang for the buck. And so we're actually using federal dollars, supporting small business people and feeding hungry children with what is arguably an extraordinarily efficient model.
Well, with that said, I'm getting excited again. As my fellow board members know, it's something I've been looking at, but that's great news, and if we can get that information, that'd be great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, we will be happy to give you the specific names of the vendors. We can locate that for you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing with us how many good things the United Way does in the region and certainly for our county. Can you share with us a breakdown of summary of sheets of the projects, the various projects? You've listed many of them here, but I didn't see any in the report specifically, but that'd be helpful for us to know, and maybe dollar values that you guys, so we can understand how much resources are going. A lot of our employees donate.
Sure.
Communities, private, all over the public donate to the United Way through their payroll deduction plans. I did in a previous employer, and have occasionally from time to time just written an individual check. So you do many good things, but it enhance what you've already told us, which is great, but having that in writing would be able to help us amplify that message and maybe help you in some other area that, you'll be great partnerships. Obviously, no one needs to tell you how to partner with other agencies to get things accomplished, but you never know. Maybe there's something that you don't know about we can help with. So
Yes, sir. So to be clear, you would like to see a spreadsheet with every contract that we have in Macomb County, the allocations that we give, the money that we spend, who we're spending it with?
To the area.
Sure.
A variety of programs. Like you mentioned some work in schools. That'd be good. This school got such allocation for this particular project.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, we absolutely.
If that's something you're willing to share, I mean, maybe.
It's not a secret. It's your money. In many respects, it's your money, and it's information that we obviously collect. Every partner that we partner with, there's a contract between us, and so there's extensive documentation of every one of these. It's critical for an organization like United Way to be transparent in how they spend their dollars and who they spend them with and on.
Well, we got that here in Macomb County. We operate the same way. State of Michigan's still trying to catch up with us, but they'll get there. Thank you.
I'm sure you'd understand if I had no comment on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Seeing no one else on the list, Dr. Gray, thank you for that presentation.
Thank you very much.
I need a motion to receive and file this presentation. Moved by Myjack, supported by Drolette. Please vote. Thank you. Motion passes. Now, jumping back to 8, if I'd like a motion to declare August 19th, 2017, United Way for Southeastern Michigan Centennial Day.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Tocco. Please vote. Thank you. Motion passes. If you'd give me a minute, I want to go down and present this to Dr. Gray. Well, first of all, we'd like to just express our appreciation for the work that you do here in the county. There's a lot of great things on this proclamation. I just want to read one line that I think wraps it up. Whereas the United Way for Southeastern Michigan continues to engage and serve Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland counties every day, improving lives and encouraging families to be successful in pursuing education, economic prosperity, and good health, the pillars of a strong, equitable community. We thank you very much, and we appreciate the work you do for us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You're very good.
Okay. Item 9B, presentation on the Narcan overdose prevention education by the Comprehensive Youth Services. Jeff Oldham, I believe, is here to present. Please come up, and the mic is yours. Yep, the mic is yours, but you have to turn it on. Forgot that part.
Okay. Better? Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, for the opportunity to come and talk about Comprehensive Youth Services. I'm Jeff Oldham, and I'm the CEO of Comprehensive Youth Services. And a lot of people don't really realize that Comprehensive Youth Services has been around for a number of years. Actually, we began in June 26, 1970, here in Mount Clemens. And we've grown tremendously over the last several years. And before I introduce two of our great staff here to talk about the Narcan prevention program, I'd just like to mention some of the other programs that we do. Again, we're a nonprofit operated by a board of directors, and we have 4 distinct programs. We have Family Youth Interventions that provides basic center services for youth from the ages of 12 to 17, and those are youth that are homeless or in threat of being homeless, being kicked out of the home, and so forth. And it's a 21-day short-term program to get them reunited back with the family. And that facility is located right here in Mount Clemens. We also have what is called a transitional living program. That's a longer-term program, up to 18 months, that provides basic education on how to get established as a youth. They take youth from 16 to 20 years old, teach them basic skills, and then they have capacity to basically move on from there into other graduated housing and so forth. Taking the job, I found that there were certainly a lot of youth that are in need of these services, and unfortunately, quite a few youth that are homeless. One of the programs that's in the Family Youth Intervention is also what we call outreach program. They go out in the community, serve a great many meals to youth, and provide hygiene kits and so forth, and clothing, and all the necessities basically to survive and get along. We also have diverse services as well. We have Clinton Counseling Center, which is an outpatient, intensive outpatient, mental health. We provide psychiatric services for those that are in need of mental health services. And we also have services for people with substance use disorders as well. We're located right over the river and 2 Crocker Boulevard as our outpatient clinic. We're funded by a variety of different organizations. We have approximately 26 different grants. The majority of our funding comes from the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, also community mental health here in Macomb County, and also community mental health Office of Substance Abuse Program. Since 1985, we've been in the county jail providing, sounds kind of strange, outpatient substance abuse services, because we know there's a lot of people in there with substance abuse problems. And over the years, it's developed and taken on many different programs. And one of those programs is the one that just recently started, which is the Narcan prevention program. Because as we know, the opiate epidemic has reached that in epidemic proportions. So I have Sue DeMera and I have Kathy Fazzolari, who are instrumental in beginning this program. And I wanted them to basically take a moment to speak to you about that and what they're doing to basically go out and save lives. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue DeMera, and I wanted to thank Jeff for that nice introduction and also the Board of Commissioners for this opportunity. In your agenda packet, you should be able to find a couple of flyers for our program, the family, Narcan family programs, as well as the NOPE program, which is Narcan Overdose Prevention Education. And there's some statistics in the NOPE flyer that I wanted to just touch on briefly. One of them is that drug overdose is now the leading cause of accidental death in the U.S. As a matter of fact, it is greater than gun violence or traffic accidents for people who are under the age of 50. Every day, about 91 Americans die from an opioid overdose. 2 million people in the U.S. are addicted to prescription opioids. And drug overdose deaths have quadrupled in Michigan. So those are some pretty big numbers. Let's break it down a little bit more and talk about our county, about Macomb County. About a week ago, the Department of Health and Human Services just announced what the overdose figures were for 2016 for Macomb County. 317 people died of all deaths last year in our county, and 202 of those were due to prescription opioids, 53 were due to heroin. And the shocking thing is that those numbers had doubled from 2015 to 2016 for Macomb County. The problem is our local statistics are trending up. And that's not a trend that we really want to be involved in. We've already been doing some family programs, as Jeff mentioned, in the community, basically for family and friends who are worried about a loved one's use of heroin or prescription drugs. And we provide them with free Narcan kits. Narcan is a medication that can interrupt the overdose process. And we also train them to recognize, respond, and rescue so that they are equipped then to deal with this problem in their home. Our agency was chosen by MCOSA, Macomb County Office of Substance Abuse, to carry out a grant from the Office of Recovery-Oriented Systems of Care to bring the training that we do for families into businesses in Macomb County. So we did create the NOPE program, Narcan Overdose Prevention Education, just for businesses here in Macomb County. And our training is free. All the contact information is on our flyers, as well as I just want to point out, so I don't forget, our Facebook page is listed also on the flyers. And if you have a few minutes each day and you want to be really current about the local and national epidemic, read some of the stuff that we post. You will be very well educated. It won't take a lot of time in order to do that. In doing the NOPE presentations, we've just started doing that, and we've only gone to 3 sites so far. But one thing I wanted to share with you is that so far, out of the 3 sites that we visited to do the training, we've trained 104 staff members at 3 sites, and all 3 of the sites had overdose experiences this year at their facilities. So 3 out of 3, that's not so great. We're really glad to be able to bring it to them. I wanted to show you, as a means of talking about our program, our participants get a bag, and in it we have all sorts of things that they get to keep, and it's like Christmas handing out these bags, that's for sure. One of the things that we talk about in addition to overdose prevention, is to try to reduce the exposure of medications in the home. And part of that is talking about medication safety. Part of that, for a lot of people, is really reconsidering how we store our medications. Our participants get a free locking medication pouch, and this is only big enough to really store 4 bottles of medication, but it's a great means to get them to go home that night and think about which 4 of my medications would pose the greatest harm, and to be able to start that process of locking up their medications. We also talk to them about medication disposal. If we're done using a medication, why is it still there? I know for a lot of us, myself probably included in this, we think, well, I pay good money for this. I really don't want to just get rid of it. But unfortunately, that's how a lot of people get hooked into this. Medications that are just left over. Nobody's really keeping an eye on them. So drug disposal is very important. We give them a list of places to go in Macomb County to dispose of their medications. They also get in their kit a free Datera kit. And this product is really neat because a little pouch like this, you can actually put 45 pills, 6 ounces of liquid, or 6 patches in it. Fill it up halfway with water, seal it, shake it, and that's it. Those medications are deactivated, and it's safe to dispose of. So it's a great innovation, something a little bit different, and something that we're really glad to share with our participants. And Kathy will continue on and tell you more about the overdose prevention aspect of our program.
So then the program moves into explaining what opiates are. We want to just provide a brief education just on what they are, how they affect the body, and how using the opiates could lead to overdoses. Once the group members then have a basic idea of that component of it, then what we want to do is help them understand what heavy use symptoms look like versus overdose symptoms look like, because that sets the stage then for helping getting them ready to, if they come upon a person who's overdosed, what to do. So with that in mind, in this kit we then walk them through how to utilize Narcan. And with this, we ask them to think about, if they come across a person, to assess them based upon what we just discussed. If they figure that they've come upon an overdose, first step is to call 911. Then we walk them through the steps of how to utilize the Narcan. So basically, with the Narcan, we walk them through getting familiar with the medication, the steps to actually utilize the Narcan, and then what to do with the cartridge once it's used. We also educate on why the rescue breathers are important, along with the nitrile gloves. After that's done, then we emphasize the importance of, like I said, calling 911, utilizing the Narcan. Now, depending on the overdose and what type of opiate the person used is going to determine if they need to use rescue breathing or CPR. So based upon that, we provide education on that. And then we also explain the purpose of why you would want to put someone in a rescue position. Once that's all said and done, we handed out sheets with regards to the more potent opiates that are in our community as well, information on fentanyl and carfentanil, and then we re-emphasized the importance of these because there's a risk of accidental exposure, especially with the carfentanil. With carfentanil, fentanyl is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine, but carfentanil can be 10,000 times more potent than morphine. It's an elephant tranquilizer. It's designed to take down 12,000-pound animals. So they're saying 1 grain of salt is enough for a 195-pound male to overdose. So with that in mind, we walk them through extra steps to take for precautions by utilizing the nitrile gloves and a mask, and then we encourage them and provide education on extra steps to take for safety. So once that portion's completed, we then provide more education, like just the basics on what addiction is, and then we have a resource guide that we go through with them to connect them with resources within the community. And then after that, well, before that, actually, what we do is we hand out a survey to the folks when they first come in, and then we give a post-survey. And one of the questions that we ask is how confident do they feel that they can recognize an overdose? And the pre-test said that 58% of the folks felt confident that they could recognize an overdose. At the end of the program, 96% of the individuals said that they felt confident that they could recognize an overdose. And at the beginning, how many felt confident that they could help with an overdose process? 42% indicated that they felt confident. 92% indicated at the end of the program that they felt confident. So the program, as it's starting out, but it's looking like that we're meeting our goal by having these individuals gain confidence in self, because these situations are so scary when they come upon them, and loved ones are oftentimes involved, that being able to provide them with tools is helping the program achieve their goals. I was wondering if anyone has any questions. We really thank you so much for allowing us to present.
Thank you. We do have a few commissioners lined up for questions, if you wouldn't mind. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I was wondering where the state laws are standing with regard to dispensing of narcotics. My husband and I both had major surgeries in the last couple of years, and he got a significant amount, and I got 3 days worth. And if I was in trouble after that 3 days, they were like, take Tylenol. And it was a pretty major surgery. So I was just curious. I'm thinking there's been legislation because of this epidemic. Do you know if there has? Because I haven't actually looked into it to find out where that stands with regard to what doctors can and can't do.
I do know that in terms of best practices, that right now they're really reconsidering the effectiveness of long-term use of opioids to treat chronic conditions. They are leaning a lot more towards the short-term use and very limited amounts. It is a safer way to go. I believe the Centers for Disease Control did come up with some ideas for that, of limiting the use to only that amount that would be needed.
Okay, so probably at this point we're looking at individual doctors' policies and hospitals' policies as opposed to legislation that's been enacted.
I would actually have to check on the legislation. I'm sorry, I don't have that answer.
That's okay. That's homework that we can look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, that was a great presentation, but I never heard the one word that I think should be involved with this is the schools. Every school in the county should have something, because it's phenomenal what you're talking about. And being a retired law enforcement officer, I have a lot of background on what happened to some people, but I didn't see nothing in here about going to schools. You just don't send a piece of literature to them. You got to have open discussion with them. And for an example, when at the jail, we used to have former inmates would come and talk to the inmates and say, this is what it caused, this is what it does. And I thought maybe I'd see something like that in here, or maybe you're in the process of it. But I think schools got to be number one in informing them what is going on with the drugs. Thank you.
Thank you. We would love to be able to present to schools, and definitely we're open to that. Part of the NOPE program is to be able to present information to businesses in Macomb County, and certainly schools are part of that.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Toko.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any statistics on what the rate is for people successfully recovering from a heroin addiction? So what percentage of users can successfully beat it, or do you keep statistics on that?
That's a great question, and those statistics are also somewhat more difficult to find because every program is a little bit different, in terms of, how they combat it. Right now, sometimes we face the conditions of longer waiting lists to get people, hooked in with services. And certainly with, the opioid epidemic, the biggest problem is also people dying before they ever get a chance to get in for programming. I've heard a lot of different statistics in terms of recovery rates, and I hate to throw numbers out, and I don't take that very lightly. And I don't know that I can say I've seen a solid, good number across the board to be able to give you. However, I do know that recovery is possible from any substance, even heroin, even fentanyl. There are quite a few people who are in the recovery community that volunteer with our program through the jail, and so many long-term success stories of people with 20 years plus of recovery that have gotten there from many, many different paths, whether it was a self-help group or a treatment center or family support, spiritual beliefs, or some combination thereof.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have one question for you. And so we have a great organization in the community that's a volunteer organization, FAN, that basically fights, families against narcotics. I just want to know what your interaction is with them. As Commissioner Carabelli always talks about, duplication of services is, working together is a lot better than duplicating and layering. Do you guys interact with them on a regular basis, or what can you tell me about your interaction with them?
Actually, on Operation RX, both organizations are involved with Operation RX, and I believe that what they do is slightly different than what we do, but we're all looking at the same end result. They do have monthly meetings. Unfortunately, they're at the same time that we're also usually doing our Tuesday evening family presentations. And our program is more about coming on and maybe one time or two times getting the overdose training and the Narcan kits, and they seem to be providing more of a monthly support service. So the efforts are somewhat different, but focused on the same result, which is finding different ways of tackling the problem in our community, and hoping that instead of trending up, Macomb County can start trending down with those numbers.
Okay.
I can also add a comment to that. Sometimes the FAN members do happen to come to our Tuesday night group meetings, and they do share wealth of information, so we have that transfer of information happening then.
It would seem, though, that since we're kind of all in the same team looking for the same thing, that maybe every other month someone would change their meeting around a little bit so that we could get together and make sure that we're not, trying to hit the same problem at two different angles, and instead of like getting together and, and really, adding to the momentum that you have. It seems like they're a great organization. They just had a fantastic event last weekend, and they have a lot of support. I imagine you guys have a lot of support too. It'd be nice to see these come together and work together. Obviously independent organizations, but still it seems like there should be a little bit more effort, if at least from what I'm seeing, to work together a little more instead of accidentally someone's coming to each other's meetings. So, but that being said, I just want to thank you, Jeff and Sue and Kathy, for your presentation, and I need a motion to receive and file.
I do have a question.
I didn't see you on here. It's going to be, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It'll be
we'll
real
let
quick.
you sneak in under the wire.
It's going to just to kind of go along with what Commissioner Sauger had asked. What about the court systems, probation departments, and after sentencing? How connected are you to the court systems?
Well, being that we work with the inmates in the jail, the nice thing is that they have all been sentenced through the courts, and we do inform them of what we do so that their family members can get involved, as well as we did make a connection too through the parole department, and maybe stepping up to do some presenting for the parole board to be able to let them know also a little bit of what we offer.
Even if they're not sentenced to jail, some of them are put on probation, and oftentimes, I don't know if you see those folks, because those folks sometimes they're on probation, they think they got a break, and you'll find that they start using again, and they either end up in jail or they end up dead. What about that? What about with probation departments?
I think that would be the next on our list to talk to. We're also connected with community corrections within the jail. So we can certainly connect with them and their connections to probation to be able to deliver more of our message.
Yeah, I think that would be important because a lot of times a first-time offender is not sentenced to jail. First-time offender is often given even like a 7411 status. But you'll find that those individuals feel they got a slap on the wrist and they'll continue to use, and sometimes, I've seen it, they'll end up passing away.
Just to add to that too, what Sue mentioned is that we do contract over at Clinton Counseling with Community Corrections. And since waiting lists are long and so forth, we do a number of opiate-specific groups, something for them to come into and begin to start the recovery process. So that is a big point, that those that are the first-time offenders that we identify or they identify having opiate problems, we do provide those services over at our clinic, outpatient clinic as well.
And are the district courts and the circuit court aware of you guys to do that, to send somebody on probation over to you?
It's sort of a cooperative venture to where it is Community Corrections that reaches out to them.
Okay.
And then they identify, and we actually have staff that are contracted. We contract with them to go out and do assessments and identify those individuals, and then make the referral over for that as well. So we try to get it out there as much as possible because we know that the population is huge, but also inpatient treatment, which is probably the most preferably for somebody that's doing this, is not always there. So what can we do right now in order to start the recovery process?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no one else on the list, I need a motion to receive and file, supported by Kleinfeld, or supported by, made by Kleinfeld, supported by Carabelli. Please vote. Great. Motion passes. Item 9C, Healthstyles Luncheon, a presentation by Laura Murphy and Amy Lumetta. Great, thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name's Laura Murphy. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator for the board. And I'm here today just to give a brief introduction to the Macomb County Healthstyles program. And then I'm going to hand it over to our chairperson for a more detailed overview of the program. So the Healthstyles Committee was actually originated via board resolution over 25 years ago. The main purpose of the committee is to provide opportunities to participate in health and wellness activities and to promote a healthy, active lifestyle within our employees, and hopefully they'll take it home to share with their families. The committee is comprised of various department representatives who meet monthly throughout the entire year. Presently, we have 17 departments represented out of the approximate 33 county departments. I'm the representative for the Board of Commissioners Department, and I share the Healthstyles events via our board and staff commissioner Google Calendar. And also we post things in the kitchen on the bulletin board. The chair of the Healthstyles Committee is Amy Lumetta from HR, and she's going to give a more further explanation of the program.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for having us. We wanted to take this opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to those that have been commissioners, and then to introduce ourselves to those that are new commissioners as well. So, as Laura mentioned, my name is Amy Lumetta. I've been a chair of Healthstyles for about a year now. The committee itself and the program is overseeing the leadership of Karen Bathanti within Human Resources. I also work in Human Resources as a service partner, so I kind of have a dual role here in the county. As Laura stated, the program has been in existence for about 25 years, and actually just found out about 29 to be exact. We want to motivate employees, to encourage them to make permanent, healthy living changes, and then, as Laura stated, to bring them back home to their family and friends. Also importantly, we want to make sure we have a work environment here within the county so that employees have healthy behaviors like healthy eating, they're physically active, they can manage stress, time management, things of that nature. Some of the activities that we have on an annual basis, as you can see, we have some lunch and learns. We frequently, month to month, look at the national health observances, and we base our lunch and learns on that. We partner very heavily with Macomb McLaren Macomb, excuse me, a lot of their physicians will come on site during the lunch hour between noon and 1, so it provides an opportunity for employees to take their lunch. They can bring lunch with them. Sometimes the presenter will bring lunch to the employees. We provide a healthy snack as well, and then some bottled water. Again, it's an opportunity for them to learn and bring that information back to not only their family and friends, but also to the work site for those individuals maybe that couldn't attend the session. As for cooking demonstrations, we have quarterly cooking demonstrations. We partner with our Macomb Health Department, their nutritionists. They will come on site quarterly and provide a cooking demonstration for healthy alternatives, maybe for appetizers, desserts and things of that nature. And then also the employees will be able to sample those, whatever they cook at that present time. In October of 2016, we implemented the Carrot app. I don't know if you are familiar with that or if you've heard about it. It is a free app for employees. You can download that on your phone. It's supported by iPhone as well as Android. And employees, when they download that phone, it also can talk to wireless devices such as your Fitbit, or there's Misfits out there and different devices. And it tracks your walking or your physical activity. Goals are set through the application based on each individual. So we recognize that not everybody is, physical every day, day in and day out. There's different goals to be obtained. So we set that for each employee. Once they obtain those goals, they receive coins, and then the coins can be redeemed for gift cards. So it's an incentive, for employees to get out there, be active, maybe walk on their breaks, receive these gold coins, and then they're rewarded financially, essentially, with gift cards that they can use. We also provide after-work exercise classes at a discount. We work very closely with Maria Marino, and she will come over to the VERC Center or send one of her staff members to have exercise classes so employees don't have to go home and get situated and go to exercise. They can go right from work, which is a nice benefit. We have flu clinics that we also partner with the health department. Those will be upcoming. They're going to start the end of September. We have them at various sites throughout the county so that employees can participate. They're free to employees. They just have to sign up and show up, basically, and they will get their flu vaccinations. We also are able to accommodate various shifts as well. So we make sure that, we have some facilities that are 24/7, so we have the opportunity for all employees to attend. And then, most importantly, which is coming up August 9th, is our annual employee health fair, which you'll have a flyer at the end of your presentation, and we invite all of you to attend as well. It is, again, August 9th. It's over at the Macomb County Emergency Services Training Center, which is adjacent to VERC. It is from 10:30 to 2 p.m. We have over 20 vendors that will be attending, and then we also have a handful of food vendors that will also be attending and supplying healthy snacks and samples for the employees as well. And then also at the health fair, which is another incentive for employees, is that instead of having the vendors pay a fee to participate in our health fair, we ask that they supply like a gift card or a gift basket or something like that. And when the employees come, they get a card and it's put into a drawing, and we have a raffle. So there's prizes there for the employees as well. So it's always nice to have incentives for things. As it relates to the committee, we've kind of decided that we're going to call ourselves the Wellness Warriors. So that's what we've deemed as our name. As Laura said, we have representation from 17 of the departments here within the county. Obviously, we'd like to have that number up there, seeing as we have about 30-plus departments in the department. So, we're working on that. Every year, we send out a notification to see if anyone's interested in participating. It's voluntary, and basically, we need approval from your department head in order to participate in the committee. The expectations, obviously, we expect you to attend our monthly meetings. We have each first Wednesday of the month at 8:30, we have a meeting over at the health department in the library. It's about an hour. And we kind of discuss, what's working, what's not working, what feedback have you received from your colleagues, and make decisions on that. We also ask that the Wellness Warriors will attend and help coordinate different events. Obviously, the big one would be the employee health fair. And then, lead by example, promote the healthy living, the healthy and active lifestyle. On a break, take a walk, maybe grab a coworker or two. Instead of having donuts at your morning meeting, bring some granola or fruit, something, just be that advocate for your group and your department. And what we see as benefits from the program perspective is it's going to enhance recruitment and retention. When you're hiring for different positions within the county, individuals are looking at a total compensation package. So this is an opportunity for us to promote the wellness program here within the county. It's kind of like a voluntary benefit, if you will. And, they can use that to their advantage. And you'd be surprised when we bring that up in the recruitment process. A lot of people are surprised that we have something like this to offer, and they're excited about it. We see, obviously there's going to be a reduction in absenteeism. Healthy employers, they're not as sick as often. So, that absenteeism will go down. We also, and it relates to the recruitment and the retention, is the employee relations and the morale. We care about our employees. We want them to know that. We want to work with them, and that'll help improve the relations. And then obviously productivity. We see that, being healthy will bring a productive employee to the workforce, and then hopefully, start talking to other employees and helping them work through their day. And that's what we have right now. Any
Great.
questions?
Well, thank you. We do have a few commissioners up on questions. Commissioner Lucido.
I just wanted to thank you guys for coming and for the work that you do. It is a great thing to add to our Macomb County and to our workers, so thank you. And I know Maria Marino, and she is excellent.
She's very good.
She's very good. Thank
Very
you.
energetic.
Yes.
Great. Commissioner Drolet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentation, the work that you do. Just with regard to the absenteeism, what kind of absenteeism reduction have you seen in the 17 departments that have implemented the program compared to those that haven't? Do you have numbers to that effect?
Just to clarify, the 17 departments, that's representation on the team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the departments that don't have representation don't participate, the employees.
Okay.
Ironically, what we're finding is one department in particular, they didn't have a wellness warrior, if you will. However, they were the third largest participant in the health fair last year. So I just wanted to clarify that piece of it. As relates to absenteeism, it's more feedback than it is statistics and metrics. We've just been hearing that, Sally Sue, she was really struggling with stress, or maybe she was just diagnosed with diabetes. She went to one of our programs, and she's learning to manage that along with maybe her physician. And she's not missing as many days of work, or she's maybe not as tardy in the morning, and she's able to get up and go. So it's more feedback that we're hearing from the departments. We do not have metrics on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I'll ask the question for Commissioner Sauger and Commissioner Romano. What's a Fitbit? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Well, if you come to the health fair, we have quite a few of them to give out if you win in the raffle.
Okay, seeing no other commissioners, thank you very much for your
Thank
presentation.
you for having us. Appreciate it. Hope to see you on the 9th.
And I need a motion to receive and file. It's moved by Carabelli, supported by Sauger. All, please vote. All right, motion passes. Item 10, correspondence from the county executive. We don't have any correspondence at this meeting. Item 11, department recommendations. Request for public hearing on the Brownfield plan site. We have our Director of Planning and Economic Development, John Paul Rea, here to speak to this. Microphone, please.
I'll learn how to use this one day. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to give you a brief overview of a brownfield redevelopment plan that was approved by the Macomb County Brownfield Program, the Macomb County Brownfield Board earlier this week. Currently, our department, myself, Deputy Director Vicki Rad, Program Manager of Economic Development James Ahi, and Program Manager of Planning and Mapping Services and Brownfield Coordinator Jeff Schrader are involved in a comprehensive attraction project at 50500 Mound Road in Shelby Township. What you have before you today and in your packet is not only a full copy of the Brownfield redevelopment plan, but also a brief presentation which gives an overview of the property that is in question. In the presentation, too, is an overview of a number of the private entities that are currently involved in not only scoping the viability of this plan, but putting forward a comprehensive remediation plan for a known contaminated site in Shelby Township. The site in question, again, is located at 50500 Mound Road. The portion that is being considered for development is an 85-acre site with 1 million square feet proposed building. It will be a logistics optimization center and up to 1,000 new jobs for the area for this development. As you will see, only 85 of the 220 total acres are being proposed for this initial phase, and we are in continuing conversations not only with the developer, but also with the community in looking at a multi-phase strategy for this particular site. Ultimately, what we are looking to do with this remediation plan that was approved by the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority is to deploy a comprehensive remediation strategy, not only in coordination with private environmental groups, obviously our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, the Macomb County Board of Commissioners, our Planning Department, our partners in Shelby Township, the Department of Environmental Quality, and a number of other agencies to not only look at strategic demolition of an existing slab, also installing a depressurization system that will allow a new structure to be built, direct contact barriers to assume that any individuals that are working on not only construction but also full employment at the site will be able to remediate any concerns with regards to air quality. Also a stormwater management system that would incorporate a series of retention ponds and also piping, an environmental investigation and monitoring that will be full scale throughout the entire lifespan of not only this project but subsequent projects, and also engaging the Ford Motor Company, who is the corporate client of record with regards to the remediation and contamination on the site right there. And then a full soil management system that would ensure a full clean bill of health for this site. The Brownfield plan and the eligible activities that are being considered for this is about $9.1 million. Currently, these are only estimates. As we enter into this remediation project, we will not only work with the developers on the property, our friends at Shelby Township, and also county staff to ensure that each one of these project estimates becomes not only solidified, but more importantly, will ensure that we can have a full-scale remediated site. On the Brownfield Plan 2, qualifying for a PA 198 under Industrial Facilities Exemption Certificate for this Logistic Optimization Center. Again, the first 12 years looking at a tax increment revenue for the Brownfield Plan. The millages that are currently being considered and those that will be notified in this process as we begin not only this first step today with scheduling the public hearing and then ultimately having the board consider this, a 20-year term of capture for a total estimated capture of just over $10 million for the lifespan of this remediation plan, which would give us the ability to facilitate a 1 million square foot building on the site. Additional considerations that we're looking at, not only the ability to amend and include additional eligible activities while working with state and local agencies as we assess those, and then more importantly, ensure that we are responsive not only to the community, but more importantly, this will give us a fantastic opportunity to facilitate a transformative development and clean up a known trouble site in the county. Just wanted to bring this to your attention just on the informational basis today. Again, looking for the opportunity to move this to a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, have the opportunity to get into more in-depth analysis on this.
Great.
The other thing that I would like to state for the record is there's a considerable amount of chatter associated with this site. I would just like to disclose the fact that our department is underneath a strict non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement with the MEDC and a number of corporate entities on this site. But I assure you, we are working expeditiously to ensure that we can have a fantastic development here in Macomb County. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rea. We have a few questions here. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you. I was just trying to find the date. I don't see. I think what
we're going to look at for the August 23rd infrastructure meeting, which gives us the requisite 30 days and have the public hearing.
Okay, so I just knew that this was to set a date, and
Correct.
as soon as we had the date, I was ready to go.
Yeah, we were just
okay.
discussing that.
All right, thank you.
That'll be the motion. Thank you. Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, just to you, what are we actually voting on then today? The public hearing component only?
Just voting on scheduling a public hearing for.
Okay, so that's all we're doing.
Days.
It's not
Correct.
approving a.
We're not approving
plan.
anything. We're approving a public hearing so that we can discuss things further.
Thank you. And then I do have a question, if I may.
Nope.
To Mr.
Yes,
no?
go ahead. Yeah, that'll be 30 days from now.
All right. John Paul, who currently owns the site in question?
I cannot speak to that at this time.
Well, isn't it a public record who owns parcel of property?
It absolutely is.
Is it Ford?
Ford does not own the property at this time.
Okay, so Visteon Ford sold the property.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. But,
Commissioner, we can look this up if you would like to, but that is
Okay, so,
public record, but we don't want to get into any
so I just want to make sure
potential-
it was a private parcel of property owned by, at one point, Visteon and Ford, and they have subsequently sold it to another private entity. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of quick questions on between now and the public hearing. I may have not remembered correctly, and that's the possibility. I thought it was going to be the abatement on the Brownfield for the recapture was going to the real property and not personal property. But as skimming through this, I see that it looks like it's a 50-50 capture. And I guess I just need a better understanding because I thought it was one and not the other earlier. I just need someone to sit down and go through that with me so I can understand that. And then what I'd like to see is prior, if I can get information, a public hearing of the cleanup and the routes of, are they going to be cleaning it up on site? And, the remediation of what's there, or is this going to be taken away? I'd just like to get some more information on that.
Be more than happy to provide that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing no other questions. Oh, seeing one more question. Commissioner Drollet.
If this is, if we end up having the public hearing and this is approved, what would be the county foregoing with regard to taxes? What would the county lose, so to speak?
I would be more than happy to provide that information as we go over the particulars and everything gets locked in, and as we review the plan more in depth with finance and internal representatives.
Okay.
And Commissioner, just in theory, I don't know if you lose anything that you don't have yet, right? So I mean, if we're not getting anything right now, we're not necessarily losing anything. We might be just not
Sure, that
getting
same
as
would
much
apply
in the
when I
future.
built my house. They had no house before. I would like to not pay property taxes on it. And they wouldn't be losing anything because it's a new house.
Anyway, so any more questions? I don't see anything else. Anybody else having any questions? I need a motion to schedule the public hearing for August 23rd infrastructure meeting, moved by Carabelli, supported by Kleinfeld. Please vote. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, JP. Item 12, resolution for the year 2018 area implementation plan of the Area Agency on Aging 1B. The interim CEO of the Area Agency on Aging is here to answer any questions if we have any. If not, I would, if you don't need to speak again to this, I'd like a motion to adopt the resolution. Moved by Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Commissioner Romano. Are there any speakers on this? None. Please vote. All right, motion passes 12-1. Oh, no, 13-0. I'm sorry, that was the last vote. Item number 13, Government Operations Committee recommendations. Motion to amend the 2017 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule. Need a motion supported by, or made by Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Commissioner Lucido. Seeing no speakers on this motion, please vote. Nope, motion passes. Item 14, Finance Committee recommendations. Commissioner Myjack moves them in their entirety, so all 16 recommendations. Do we have support for that? Commissioner Sauger. So we are going to move these in their entirety. Any discussion on any of them? No. Seeing none, please vote. Commissioner Duje. All right. Motion passes. Item 15, any commissioners have any new business to attend to? I have one, if no one else has anything. I have a item of new business. I'd like to make a motion to approve MAC covering the funding of the expenses for Commissioner Kleinfeld attending the NACO conference in Columbus, Ohio. Due to our rules and the way they're written, it doesn't really work out that way, but we need to approve them funding her to attend this conference. I'll make that motion. Thank you. Made by Carabelli, supported by Commissioner Tocco. Any questions on this? Yes, I don't see you on here. No. Commissioner Romano.
How's that?
I'm sorry. I do
Okay.
see you on here now.
What's it going to cost? You said fund it. What's the fund going to be? How much?
To be honest with you, they pay all the bills directly, and I don't ever see them. The county doesn't pay anything.
Oh, I like it. Stay there for a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote. All right. Oop, did I not hit save? Okay, motion passes. I have one more item of new business. I'll just read this real quick if you haven't seen it. It's just a sewer pipe update. Sewer work reaches collapsed pipe. As of July 20th, the crews digging the 300 by 28-foot shaft have reached more than 50 feet down in the process of removing the collapsed pipe. This work's expected to continue through August 1st. At that time, they'll change over to replacing, installing the new pipe and replacing the old pipe in the lining of the section that has not yet collapsed but is probably in imminent danger of it. Replacement pipe continues to arrive daily. I believe this new pipe is said to last, or be intended to last, over 200 years. And that part of it's expected to be completed by Labor Day. So they are on schedule with this, just so everybody knows. Every indication is that they are on or ahead of schedule still to get this process done and 15 Mile Road back in business before the end of the year. And that's what they say right here. So that being said, I don't have any other new business. Any other commissioners with new business? Commissioner Myjack.
Yeah, just FYI, the July quarterly for our campaign statements due July 25th, FYI for all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Seeing no other members with new business, we're going to move to item number 16 in the second round of public participation. Any member of the public wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes. Please give us your name and address. Carry on.
Greetings once again, members of the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. Joseph Hunt, 8306 Stanley, homeowner and taxpayer in the city of Warren, county of Macomb. And thank you, Rob Mijek, for all of a sudden bringing up that campaign finance reminder. That's why I'm down here at the county. Wanted to get my close of books in early. The one issue regarding this afternoon's discussion that was of interest was what John Paul had mentioned about the Brownfield over in Shelby Township. The city of Warren is a complete brownfield and has been doing brownfield since 2001. And if I'm not mistaken, based upon the state law, that in order to have a public hearing, you have to actually have all the information, public information, available to the public before a public hearing. And I guess my question is, with non-disclosure agreements, what can the public actually talk about on the brownfield if you don't know who the actual entities are that are seeking the relief from the taxing jurisdictions? We went through this in the city of Warren on a variety of different paper companies that wanted to actually get a benefit first through the brownfield and then through the industrial facilities exemption. But what really happened is that it had to come down to full disclosure as to who is actually making the application. It can't be, we'll let you know after the fact. I know the site, I know it well. I was on that part of town last year campaigning, and it does need the improvement, but I sort of question how it is that all of a sudden there could be non-disclosure agreements regarding a request for public funds to be utilized or defrayed in order to remediate a site. That's just my opinion from the city of Warren. With the industrial facilities exemption certificate, that shouldn't really be tied into the brownfield. But I'll leave it at that for now. I thought that your engaging discussion today, especially at the presentations, was very insightful for the public, and I do want to basically send my accolades to Chairman Smith for the recent email that I received, or the update that I am subscribed to regarding this budget season that is coming up, where you encourage and actually encourage residents of Macomb county or those other interested parties to appear before the board and actually exercise their vocal cords related to the budget. The one thing I can say regarding an active participant in county government, I think I'm the #1 audience participant since 2011. I don't know, it might be Karen. I haven't really checked the numbers, but the issue does come down to is I look at the list of bills at the end of every month that the finance department puts up on the website. You know, that list of bills, 12,500 checks, about $30 million. And the one thing that I've always wondered about ever since I started complaining in 2012 and got half of what I wanted is why is it that we don't have any list of bills for the Public Works Department? I think with all of the chatter in the lawsuits regarding the sinkhole and how this is going to be special assessed across the 11 communities, that it might be within the fiduciary of the taxpayers, keeper of the funds, to request from the Public Works Department that maybe we could get a list of bills to determine who are the contractors that are doing the work, what are the charges being charged to the taxpayers, because even though we are talking about financial transparency in the form of county-wide checks, and there's a separate Department of Roads check register, I'm sort of mystified that at this point in time, especially with these escalating costs of repair of something that could have been prevented long ago, as to actually how much money is being spent on a daily, weekly, monthly basis regarding the infrastructure of Macomb County. I say this because I had a vested interest last year, and I was asking at the same time, where are the checks that are basically being written out of the drainage funds? I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Going for the third and final time. Closing public participation. Item 17, roll call. And I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Douget, supported by Commissioner Drolet. We can take a voice vote. All ready to, we're going to vote right now. It's coming up. All right, here we go. Motion approved, meeting adjourned. Douget, Drolet.